obviously my number 5, let's just get it out of the way. And I put it at 5 because I hate being this this groupie that I am.
You are.
Okay.
Slut.
But here's the thing. I'm going to put Dynasty by Kiss in 1979.
I'd rather watch Dynasty.
Somewhat, people hear it as their disco album because it had the hit I Was Made for Loving You, which was a blatant, disco cash-in, right? And but here's the thing. I look at it as if you're going to have a vinyl collection, which that's how I sort of base everything on. To me, it's one of the staples of the 70s. The cover itself, if you don't know the cover of Kiss Dynasty, you'll know it right away. It's really synonymous with Kiss. I mean, just the 4 guys' faces on the cover, and just looking at the cover, I don't even have to listen to it. Looking at the cover of the album really sends me back into a different, like a time machine going back to the 70s. You know what I mean? And then when you put it on, it really brings you back in the 70s. And it's just got a lot of great songs on it. Sure Know Something, Magic Touch. But also what's great about it is right before Dynasty came out, Kiss put out the famed solo albums we always talk about. And because of the awesome sales of the Ace Frehley solo album and to the backlash of Gene and Paul, who thought, they had to give up a little more to Ace Frehley. So on Dynasty is the first Kiss album where Ace Frehley writes and sings 3 of the 9 songs on the album. So he gets his due finally.
That's really sad.
Stop it. This guy's a legend, for Christ's sake.
Peter Criss, best album out of those 4.
I knew you would love that one because that really has that Steely Dan,
I'm on fire.
Yeah, Blue-Eyed Soul.
Hey,
that's the kind of sugar Papa likes. Okay. Number 4, top albums of 1979. I gotta go with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Damn the Torpedoes. I was lucky enough recently to get a vinyl copy of that, a Japanese pressing of that, which collectors know that's a good find and sounds unbelievable. And just the songs on there, you got. I mean, it's almost like a greatest hits of Tom Petty. If you ask me, it's got all the songs that I want. It's got Refugee, There Goes My Girl, Even the Losers, Don't Do Me Like That. So that's really all I need from him. I mean, to be honest with you, anything else, I like a few other of his albums, but that's the one for me that I'm going to go to. I'm going to grab every time. And, Ben Monten's just the awesome Hammond B3 organs on that, and Mike Campbell's guitars, and the production, Jimmy Iovine producing. It's just got every element recorded at Sound City.
So it's
just it's a great album, and really like an audiophile guy's kind of album because it's really engineered and produced spot on. Number 3 is an album that a lot of people won't know, and that's what I like. If I could have all 5 of my top 5 albums that people don't know, but I won't do that because I'm honest. I'm not just going to pick albums to pick them because people don't know them. This is a classic, and not only by me, by all the heavy metal community. Slash is a huge fan of this. It's an album by UFO called Strangers in the Night. It's their 1979 live album. It has Michael Schenker on guitar. Who's just a brilliant guitar player. I mean, the guy, pretty much in the vein of around that time, like a Randy Rhoads, real flashy kind of player, but also great songwriters. He had Pete Way was in the bass player in the band, and just had great songs. Check out Rock Bottom, Doctor, Lights Out. You got to check it out. If you're a rock fan, you haven't checked. If you like Van Halen, you like all that stuff, you're really going to dig this album. UFO, Strangers in the Night. Make sure you check that one out. Number 2, like I said, everything I have today on the list is Eagles themed. So my number 2 is The Long Run by the Eagles. And maybe it makes number 2 just because we saw them recently and I'm all kind of geeked out on the Eagles right now. But no, probably not, because I will say this. It just has a lot of great songs. And again, like Damn the Torpedoes, this is another album where the production is really stellar. You can tell they had to follow up Hotel California, okay? So imagine how nervous these guys were and the tension and just making every little note and everything perfect and cutting that tape precisely and making sure everything sounded perfect. Almost to the point of overkill, I will say. It's a little too polished for me, but I'll take it. But it's just got great songs on it. The title track, I Can't Tell You Why, which they did when we saw them, one of my favorite all-time songs, maybe my favorite song from the Eagles. In the City, Heartache Tonight, Those Shoes. What am I missing? King of Hollywood, The Disco Strangler. I mean, this is all off the top of my head. I know every song off that album. So it's just one of those that you play all the way through, and it's great. And that leads me to number one.
Number one.
Eagles would be number one if this album hadn't came out. But this album came out in 1979. It's got to be number one. Michael Jackson, Off the Wall.
Yes. My guessing, my psychic abilities.
Did it work?
Zoomed in.
No way.
Zoomed in. I
You knew
said,
it?
this is going to be it.
Yeah.
This is going to be it.
I mean, obviously.
Tell the people why.
Well, I mean, I don't have all the facts in front of me. I'm just going to go off the cuff with it. But really, to me, it's even better than Thriller. I mean, I probably wouldn't, and I didn't pick Thriller as my number one in 1982.
You stayed honest.
But Off the Wall, I got to say, is the number one of 79 because it just, I don't know. It's got a little more of the disco vibe. It's got a little more like, just kind of like a funk thing to it. Disco. It's, heavy disco. But produced by Quincy Jones. It's got Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. It's got Working Day and Night. It's got Rock With You. It's got I Can't Help It. It's got Off the Wall. What's the song with Paul McCartney's on there?
Now, that's not Ebony and Ivory,
Girlfriend. Was written by Paul McCartney, and I think
Okay.
he sings background on it too.
All right. When they were friends.
Burn This Disco Out. That's a great song. It's The Falling in Love is my favorite song on that. I can't remember who. There's a woman's voice on that. I think it would be like Stephanie Mills. But that, it's The Falling in Love is my favorite song on that album. It's not an album, it wasn't a huge song, but that's what goes to show you. And that's an album, man. You just put it on and let it go. And great albums go by quick. You know what I mean? I mean, that album's probably 35 minutes in length. It'll go by in 2 seconds because the songs are so good. Notable mentions, ones that I wish I could put on the top 5, but there's only 5. I got to go with the Clash, London Calling, classic album, love it. Pink Floyd, The Wall. It was very hard for me not to put that in the top 5.
I'm glad you didn't.
And even harder to not put on the top 5. I mean, it was right there, man. It almost knocked Kiss out. Was AC/DC Highway to Hell. The last album with Bon Scott, produced by Mutt Lange, and really brought the group into that. I mean, you could see where the songs were getting so polished with Mutt Lange. They were almost bordering on like kind of neck and neck with the Def Leppard kind of sound, which Mutt Lange went on to do. Van Halen 2 was released in 1979, and man, that's killing me that I couldn't put that on there. But,
DOA.
Great stuff.